Do you ever wish you could go back to your teenage self and give her a heads up about her financial future? I know I do. If I could go back, I would look at my teenage self dead in the eyes and say, girl, start investing your money now. Not when you graduate college, but now. I would tell her, don't put all your money into a savings account. Although that's a good habit and it's always important to save, don't let it sit in that savings account that's gaining 1.0% interest. There are many other ways to build wealth. And the earlier you start, the easier it becomes. And that's exactly what we're talking about today, how teenagers can start building wealth. Hello, my fellow wealth builders. Welcome back to the Money Journey with Mila, the podcast for millennial women in their 30s who want to become wealthy on their own terms and in their own time. I'm your host, Mila, your fellow 30-something-year-old woman who is on a mission to become very wealthy. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. And today is a little bittersweet because this is the final episode in our Wealth Building for the Next Generation series. I had so much fun creating these episodes, and it's been so great to hear feedback from you viewers. I really appreciate it, and I hope you found it so valuable. And if you haven't, you can find it all in the channel. But before we continue, I must remind you, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't already. And if you're listening on all other podcast platforms, be sure to hit the follow button. So as I said, today is the last episode of our wealth building series, and we're ending it with a powerful topic. Today, we're talking about how to build wealth for teenagers. And I've always said this, man, I wish I could go back to my teenage years with the knowledge I know now about personal finance. I would have done a lot of things differently, and I probably would have more money. And I know it's a little bittersweet, but let's not dwell on the past. And instead, let's get into today's topic. And I'm so excited about this because it ties back to a lot of what we've been talking about in the previous episodes. As I always do, I've done a lot of research in this topic and found some really great details that I'm really excited to share with you. According to a report from Charles Schwab, released recently, 70% of teenagers ages 13 to 17 say they are very or extremely interested in investing. And 73% of parents say it's very important for teens to learn about investing. But here's the part that really touched my heart. 56% of teens say their parents are their most trusted source of investing advice. And 27% of them want their parents heavily involved in their investing journey. That's really big. It means we wealthy women shouldn't just be building wealth for ourselves, but we should also be building wealth for our children as they see us as a trusted advisor. The data shows it. So if we have the opportunity, we should get involved in educating our future wealth builders as much as we can. So if you're a mom, an auntie, a big sister, a mentor, or even someone who wants to break generational cycles, this episode is for you. So listen up. In today's episode, we're going to be getting into the steps your teen needs to take to build wealth. Before we do, let's go back to the moment when you got your first job as a teenager. Maybe it was babysitting, a retail job working at the mall, or maybe it was food service. Nothing glamorous, right? For me, I was working in a supermarket. It wasn't anything fancy, but hey, I was earning income, which I was very excited about. Let me know in the comments. What was your first job? Now, imagine if someone had told you when you were a teenager working hard, why don't you take $20 from that paycheck that you're getting and invest it? Imagine how different things would look today if you would have just sacrificed $20 consistently and invested that money. Although we can't turn back time, there is some good news for the future. It's never too late to teach others about investing. And it's never too early for teens to start investing. Teenagers have the one thing that adults can't buy back: time. Wouldn't it be great to be 17 again? They have time to let money grow, make mistakes, and learn. And they also have time to build habits that will carry them into adulthood. So the sooner teenagers can grasp financial concepts, have a good financial foundation, the better their financial outlook will be in the future. So here's what teenagers need to build wealth, and what I honestly wish someone would have told me. Teenagers need to learn the basics of money. Now, they don't need to be financial experts. They just need to learn the fundamentals. They need to understand things like needs versus wants, budgeting basics, how credit works, and how to start saving and why it matters. And we talked about all of this in my last episode, so be sure to check it out. But financial literacy is honestly the foundation and key to creating a bright financial future. Moving on to the next step, once teenagers understand these money concepts, in order to build wealth, they need to start earning money. And it doesn't have to be a full-time job because obviously they're teenagers, they're in school, and they're trying to graduate high school. But it just has to be something. It could be things like tutoring, summer jobs, selling clothes, and earning money is the first step towards saving and investing. And once teenagers start earning, they're going to need to put their money into a vehicle that can help their money be safe. And that's a checking account. And a couple episodes ago, I talked about the best checking accounts for kids. And I learned that CNBC voted Capital One Kids Savings Account the #1 savings account for kids. But in that article, they also talked about that Capital One allows children starting at age 8 to open up a Capital One Money Team checking account, which allows them to have access to a debit card, view their balances, and just have responsibility of managing the checking account on their own. But parents do have oversight over this, so you won't be locked out, mom and dad. A great thing about this account is it will automatically convert into an adult Capital One 360 performance savings when the child turns 18. If you want to learn more about this, I left a link to the article in the show notes. Now, moving on to the next step, once they start earning money and they have somewhere to put it, they also need to start saving some of this money so they don't spend it all. And what's important is that teenagers start saving a little. And it doesn't have to be $100. It could be $5 or $10. But saving something is better than saving nothing. And it's honestly not about the amount of money they're saving. It's about the positive habit of putting their money away and saving it. And I said at the beginning of this episode that I did save my money and I was putting it into a savings account that was earning 1% interest. So what I would recommend is for teenagers to put their money into a high yield savings account. And if I could go back in time, I can only imagine how much my money would have grown. And what's great about a high yield savings account is that the interest rate that's 10 to 12% higher than a regular savings account. In the show notes, I'm going to leave a link to some of my favorite high yield savings accounts. Now, moving on to the next point, once you start saving, although that's great, you want your money to grow exponentially. And one way to do that is by investing your money. And if a teenager can start investing their money early, this is honestly where the magic happens and where they can start building wealth. And teens can invest through things like a custodial brokerage account, which I talked about in my last episode. Be sure to check it out. But other ways that teenagers can invest their money are through other types of brokerage accounts, which many financial institutions offer. Specifically, I want to talk about 2 different types of brokerage accounts. The Fidelity Youth Account is a teen-owned brokerage account that gives teenagers ages 13 to 17 the freedom to invest in things like U.S. stocks, ETFs, and Fidelity mutual funds. And parents are connected to this account and they can monitor it, but the teenager does have ownership of this account. On the other hand, Charles Schwab also offers a joint brokerage account that the teenager and their parents can open up together. And this account ultimately helps set teenagers up for financial success. And with the guidance and watchful eye of their parents, they can learn how to invest, manage money, and plan for the future. And what's great about the Charles Schwab account, I learned, is when teens complete the Quick Start to Stock Investing course, within 45 days of opening up their account, they'll be rewarded with ownership of the top 5 stocks in the S&P 500. And they'll get $50 to split across these top 5 stocks. I'll leave a link in the show notes for you to learn more about this. So these are just 2 great ways for teenagers to start investing. But what if they want to start saving for retirement early? The best way to do this is by opening up a custodial Roth IRA for your teenager if they have earned income. And a custodial Roth IRA is opened up and managed by a parent or a legal guardian on behalf of a minor. The adult makes all the investment decisions until the child reaches the age of majority, usually 18 or 21. And once the child reaches that age, control of the account legally transfers to them. So this is very similar to a custodial brokerage account. But overall, I just think this is amazing that teenagers can start investing in retirement. What's different between a custodial Roth IRA IRA and a standard Roth IRA is a standard Roth IRA is owned and managed by an adult who is at least 18 years old. So a custodial Roth IRA is opened up by a parent and is specifically for a child under 18. And a Roth IRA is opened up by an adult and is managed for themselves. I just think that's great that you can start saving for retirement way before you're 18 if you have earned income. So that's something to think about, teenagers. Now, along with investing, another key to wealth building is by building and honing skills that can increase your future earning power. And just like money, skills can compound exponentially. Skills like coding, video editing, public speaking, and so many more skills can only turn into higher paying opportunities in the future. And this makes me think back to an article that I read in the New York Times, which was about a teenager from New Jersey who was flipping storage units and selling the items in those units and making a profit. And I can't help but think about how this not only is a great tale of entrepreneurship, but it's also a great way for him to build skills on managing a business and earning money on his own. Not only is this going to be a great college essay, but this is just a great way to continue to build a skill that he can use in the future. And I'm going to leave a link to read this article. It's a good one. But overall, those are the 5 ways your teens can start building wealth today. Pretty easy, right? But as the future wealthy woman that you are, you can teach and guide teens. It just starts with a conversation. And when we teach teens about money, we're not just teaching them how to save or invest. We're teaching them skills they can continue to build and grow and ultimately help improve their financial future. So I want you to remember a few things coming out of this episode. It's not too early to start building wealth. It's never too late to start building wealth or start teaching it to others. Thank you so much for joining me for the final episode in our Wealth Building for the Next Generation series on the Money Journey with Mila podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, leave your thoughts in the comments. Have a question or a suggestion? Email me at hello@themoneyjourneywithmila.com. Follow me on the socials for more fun at Money Journey with Mila. Join me next week as the journey continues. It was so great chatting with you. Bye for now.